Alright, hopefully this will serve as a reminder of how to work with some of these linear functions that we're going to look at. Your assignment in class today is to make it through the left side of this worksheet, and then the right side is going to be homework, and we're going to not have time to do the whole thing unless you're working really rapidly. But let's go ahead and get started. So we have y equals negative x. We're supposed to say what the slope and the y-intercept of that is, and then we're supposed to graph it. The slope is kind of a hidden number here because y equals negative x is the same as y equals negative 1x, which means since the negative 1 is the coefficient, the slope is going to be negative 1. The other thing that's kind of hidden here is that the y-intercept is 0. The constant there is 0, and it's not written because it doesn't change things, so the y-intercept here is going to be 0, 0. I find the most effective thing to do when you're going to make a graph is to make a list of points. You may get more efficient at this, which is fine. I'm going to do negative 6, negative 4, 0, 4, and 6. It doesn't really matter what you choose, just as long as you have some points. And so this function y equals negative x says take the x, multiply it by negative 1, and you'll get the y. And so basically just flips it. So negative 6, its output will be positive 6. Negative 4, its output will be positive 4. 0 will have an output of 0. 4 will have an output of negative 4. And 6 will have an output of negative 6. And so then I can go about graphing these things. So negative 6 is going to be 6 to the left, and then 6 up, which is right there. And then negative 4 is 4 to the left, and then 4 up, so right there. Whoops. There we go. 0, 0 is right at the origin. 4, negative 4 is 4 to the right, and then 4 down. And then 6, negative 6 is 6 to the right, and then 6 down. They should make a nice linear pattern. Since this is an open function, I'm going to go ahead and try to draw a nice straight line through there. And so there's the first one down. Let's go ahead and look at the second one. So 2/3 x minus 7. So the coefficient there is 2/3, so I'll write that as the slope, and the y-intercept is the constant, so it's 0, negative 7. So I'm going to go through this one in two different ways. The more efficient way I'll do second, but let's go ahead and make some an XY table here. And I'm noticing here that I have division by 3 in my inputs because the slope is 2/3. So I'm going to only choose numbers that are divisible by 3 for my inputs. Negative 6, negative 3, 0, 3, and 6 I think should be sufficient. So negative 6 times 2/3 is negative 6 over 3 is 2 times 2 is negative 4. And then I take away 7, which is negative 11. Then I'll do negative 3 times 2/3. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Minus 7 is negative 9. 0 times 2/3 is 0. Minus 7 is negative 7. 3 times 2/3 is 3 over 3 is 1 times 2 is 2. Minus 7 is negative 5. And then finally 6 times 2/3 is 4. Minus 7 is negative 3. So I'll go ahead and put those in, and then we'll back up and you can see how to do it a slightly more efficient way. So negative 6, 11 is not going to be on our grid because we have a 20 by 20 grid here. Negative 3 is 3 to the left and then 9 down, so it'll be right there. 0, negative 7 is just 7 straight down. And there's 3, 6, 7. And then 3, negative 5 is 3 to the right, and then 5 down, which is right there. You can kind of see the pattern emerging. And then 6 is 6 to the right, and then 3 down is right there. And I can draw a line through it as well as I can. So that's one way to go about it. Choose some points. You might need to be clever about the inputs based on what your slope is. I only chose numbers that were divisible by 3 because my slope had 2/3 in it. The other thing you can do is you can plot the y-intercept and then use the slope to graph the rest. And that's what I'm going to do here. So 0, -7 is just 7 straight down, and that's right here. And then I know that my slope is 2/3, so that's up 2 every time I go over 3. And so my next point will be right there. And I'll do the same thing again. I'll go up 2 and then over 3. Because 2/3 means you go up 2 in the y, so that's delta y, over delta x, and this is probably a review of some of the stuff from last year. So my third point will be right there. And from there, I have enough to just make a line. So that's sort of the working smarter, not harder method for graphing. Let's go ahead and look at the next page. So solve each equation for y, then graph the function using at least 3 points. So if you're looking at 4x plus y equals 1, it's hard to know what points fit into that, or what the slope is, or that kind of thing. So we need to put it in y equals form to see those things. So I'm going to take away 4x because I'm solving for y, and I'll get y equals 1 minus 4x. And then y is already by itself. It doesn't have a coefficient. So you can go ahead and graph it from there. The slope there is going to be the coefficient, which is -4, and the y-intercept is going to be the constant, which is 1, so that's 0, 1. And I can go ahead and I can highlight those if you'd like. There's the y-intercept, and our slope is -4. So let's go ahead and use the xy method here. So if I'm thinking about x's and y's, let's do, I don't have to worry about division because my slope is a whole number. I'll just do -2, 0, and 2, and we'll see what we get. So this rule says multiply by -4, then add 1. So I'm going to do -2 times, well, maybe that's a little bit too confusing to say out loud. Let's just do a little bit of work here. I'll make my pencil smaller. So for -2, I'll do 1 minus 4 times 2, -2, excuse me. So that's 1 minus a -8, and that equals 9. And so I'm just going to do some scratch work here. 0 will be 1 because that's just the y-intercept. And then 2, I'm going to do 1 minus 4 times 2, and that's 1 minus 8, which is -7. And there we go. So I'll have 3 points to work with then. -2, 9 is right there. 0, 1 right there. And 2, -7 is 2 to the right, and then 7 straight down. So there we go. Let's finish out this column here. -10, 0, 4, 7, 10. There's no nice pattern there. So just like in our opener, we're going to have to do a little bit of work to figure out what the slope is. And so there's a couple things you can do. You could expand the table so that you could see how much the y goes up when x is going up by 1. But there's a more efficient method that we talked about, and that more efficient method is to see how much the y would go up per one of the x's. So I'm going to do 2 to 34, because I like working with positives. 2 to 34 is plus 32 is what I see. Here I see 0 to 4, and so that's a plus 4. And so what that says, I'm going to do a little notation down here, is that y's goes up 32 for x going up 4, which is a rate. There's 32 y's per 4. Another way you can write that, and this is going to be delta y, the change in y over the change in x. Y goes up 32. That's how y changes, so that's plus 32. X changes by going up 4. And if I want to find the unit rate, I do some division. 32 over 4 is going to give me 8. And so my slope is 8 there. What that means is that if I were to expand this table, it would be going up by 8 every single time x goes up by 1. And you can kind of see that. I'll do a little bit of work here from 0 to 4. And this is just explanatory. You don't have to do all of this work. So 2 to 34. And so what I found by doing that division of 32 divided by 4 is that this should go up by 8 every time x goes up by 1. And we'll see if that works out. So 2 plus 8 is 10. 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 plus 8 is 26. And then 26 plus 8 is 34. So it checks out. My slope is 8. So I'll put that there. My y-intercept's in the table. It's 0, 2, because my input of x is 0 there. And so from there I should be able to write my rule. I'm going to use function notation on this. F of x equals, I'm going to write, the slope is usually a coefficient, or it's always a coefficient, so I'm going to write 8x as a coefficient. And the y-intercept of 2 is just going to be added on. All right, hopefully you have enough information to go on to be able to complete the homework at this point. The homework is the second half of this page.